Ladies and gentlemen, fantasy football friends, it is showtime here on the Fantasy Football Buzz podcast. And guys, I am so depressed. It is week 15 already. What happened to the season? Oh, see, Brad's crying already.
I'm crying.
Wait, did he see the future score of his first playoff game? I mean, it's crazy. We're entering. It's December. We're getting towards the holidays already. It's crazy how time is flying. It's funny. I thought you were going to say you're happy because I love being able to say the one league that all three of us are in. All three of us. We're all in multiple leagues, but the one league all three of us are in. We have all made the playoffs. So that's very cool.
You.
Oh, stop. Don't do it.
We are in two leagues, and in both of those leagues, the three of us
are the Dynasty. I am so sorry. I thought the Dynasty League. That's right. That's absolutely true. Thank you.
All three of us have made our two main leagues and in the playoffs. But you know what? There's nothing pretty about being second or third or fourth. You got to win it all in fantasy football because that's what it's all about.
You know what Ricky Bobby says?
Yeah, first, you're last. That's right. Which doesn't make a lot of sense, but yes, that's correct.
Makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Well, it sounds like Kenneth is already on the phone, and I think we fixed our phone problems. We're about to find out. Kenneth, how are you doing tonight?
Oh, pretty good. I'd like to give a very thank you to y'all because of y'all, I am in the playoffs in one of my leagues.
All right.
What was the deciding factor? That did we give some advice that you started somebody and you made it in? Or is it just season long?
I did start Dak most of the season with the exception of last week.
Okay.
I started Taysom Hill in his place.
It's a good start.
Yeah.
It's a good start. Dak is starting. Yeah, Dak is starting to become kind of up there with Pat Mahomes, and the question marks of should you be starting him, depending upon who your second quarterback is. And with Taysom Hill, he's got that Jalen Hurts attractiveness, so that's a great start, Kenneth.
Now, I have been on you can call me butter because I have been on a serious roll. I have won basically 6 straight games.
Wow.
I have not lost since week 8.
Nice.
That's fantastic. Let me ask you a question, Kenneth.
Okay.
We have a very loyal listener. They don't comment, but they do listen every single week. They won the first, 7 or 8 games, and they've lost 5 in a row, and they're the number 2 seed. Should they be allowed to have a bye if they've lost 5 games in a row?
I'm going to emphatically say no.
That's right. They're taking a spot from somebody else.
Even Kenneth.
Oh, stop. Stop. If you're there, you're there. But yes, point well taken.
You know, it is what it is. You know, you get a hot start to the season.
That is basically the same reason that you just mentioned.
Right. Right. Well, look, some people start out slow and then they get hot. Some people are hot and then they end up slow. It was really tongue in cheek, Kenneth, because, if you're good enough, if you have a good enough record at the end of the season, you make it into the playoffs. But if you are faltering at the end of the season, that's your own issue, and that you're not going to make it through the playoffs, possibly.
Now, when it comes to playoffs, it's basically who gets hot at the right time.
Correct.
That's exactly right. It's so interesting to look how many teams finish in first place or a points lead and end up not winning it because some team played the waiver wire well and ended up getting hot at the right time. And it's something that you see very, very often. So it doesn't matter your placing.
This particular instance, and of course we know who you're talking about, Commish, right? Super hot start to the season, but a lot of that was based on one player, right? That was like a one-player wrecking crew of Derrick Henry. As soon as that team lost Derrick Henry, there's really been I don't know if he's won since then, right? I don't know if it was maybe he won 1 week or something, but the team really fell apart. And, well, no, I mean, it did. And
you know what's interesting?
But the point I'm trying to make is you have to be looking forward. You have to make trades. You have to sometimes trade people when they're hot, maybe, and work your team and keep it going, not just rely on that one player. And
it's interesting. This is 2 years in a row that team manager lost Derrick Henry, although this time it wasn't by choice. Yeah, last year he traded.
Last year it was by trade.
Last year.
That's what I'm saying. You didn't listen to me. I'm saying this year it wasn't by choice. It's just interesting. And then Derrick Henry really heated up heading into the fantasy playoffs and championship.
Well, Derrick Henry could come back.
He could. They said that. Yes,
could come back for the championship game, and with all of the COVID issues that we're going to talk about happening right now, look, you're going to have people who are third stringers, practice squad players who are going to be your fantasy football leaders for some of these games.
Mm-hmm.
Leaders. So
you're talking about literally hitting the waiver wire.
I have a couple of players that are interested to get y'all's thoughts on.
All right, Kenneth, go ahead, and then we'll go on with the show. But go ahead.
I put in a claim for Jalen Waddle and Elijah Mitchell.
What?
The reason why I have is I do have.
What did he do with that?
He put in a claim for Jalen Waddle and Elijah Mitchell. Somehow they're available in that league. Jalen Waddle's a top 10 wideout right now.
So go ahead, Kenneth.
The reason why I have is I have DJ Moore in right now as my flex, but instead he's questionable heading into Saturday's game against, Sunday's game, I should say, at Buffalo.
All right. So let's be clear about something. There's no reason why Jalen Waddle and Eli Mitchell should be on the waiver wire, but the fact that they are, you need to pick them up. That's number one. Number two, if Eli Mitchell plays this week, he is your flex. He is your RB1. This isn't, the only reason you would not only pick him up, but start him is if he's hurt. And Jalen Waddle versus DJ Moore, that's a whole other dilemma.
So this is being recorded, right? This is Commish talking about how good Eli Mitchell is. I just want to know that this is being recorded. You can't see the grin on my face right now.
2020. He did not say how good Eli Mitchell was. Okay.
He said he's an RB1. No. He said he's an RB1.
But how many running backs right now are either hurt or on COVID?
I don't give a shit. He said it's an RB1. Stop it. Don't. What are you doing? Nice deflection. That's all I'll say. Anyway, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Commish. That was a great point you were making.
All right, Kenneth. Listen, pick them up, start them. Personally, I would start Waddle against the Jets over DJ Moore, who's questionable. But that's just me, and it might be me being a homer. But given the quarterback situation in Carolina, given how Waddle is just a target machine against a Jet defense that is questionable,
no brainer.
You're putting Waddle in your lineup if Eli Mitchell doesn't play.
Number 2 in the league in receptions right now, not amongst rookies, amongst wide receivers. So
yeah, he has become a wide receiver 1.
Yep.
Yeah,
yep, definitely.
All right, Kenneth, and listen, thank you so much. We're going to probably have the podcast for another month, and at the end of the month will be our final show. That'll be after week 17. It'll probably be the week 18 podcast, and that'll be our last podcast. But in the meantime, thank you for listening. Keep listening and calling in. Okay, there goes Kenneth. All right. So we were talking, guys, do you want to talk, before we talk about waivers, which we are going to get into the waivers and talk about this very important week 15. Let's talk about this COVID issue and what's going on. I have never, we haven't seen this. The NFL
nothing like this.
Seen this. Forget fantasy football for a second. Should the NFL shut down? Should the NFL, What's the right thing to do here?
The way the protocols that they have in place, I think are working. Listen, it's the NFL is very much a mirror of what is happening in the country. If you're vaccinated, something, people that are getting it are, and this is, I'm not getting political. I'm not talking about the virus. Everyone that's gotten it so far in the league, nobody's had a major problem. Most of them are vaccinated, right. Although I believe Aaron Rodgers was immunized. Not going to go there. But they're all okay. And they have to, everyone's getting through this because of the vaccination. So no, I don't think the league needs to shut down. It's causing some chaos, but we have football. The stands are even filled and the protocols are working. It's just, you got to be ready and be on your feet.
So their protocols are working. That is correct. Okay. Here's some of the issues that I see with how they have their protocols in place. Vaccinated players have to get tested once a week. So what's happening? They're testing them on Mondays. Now, 37, now more, right? First it was 37. Now it's more because more people have come out that they have COVID. They all had it yesterday. Or they were getting tested Monday. They had it Sunday when they were playing. So they're spreading it. And it's not a problem with the players. It's a problem that the players might have it. Yeah. And they're spreading it to people that could get sick and could die. That's the problem. Yeah. It's not the players.
That's a good point, actually. I didn't know that protocol. I thought they were testing multiple times a week. I didn't know it was only on Monday.
Only if they're unvaccinated.
Oh, okay, got it. So vaccinated is only once a week. You're right. That's not good. That's not a good thing. You get tested on Monday. What they should be tested is on Saturday before they play on Sunday, and they could possibly spread it to other teams and bring it to a stadium. So that actually does not make sense to me. Yeah.
All right. Well, it's very interesting. I mean, it's something that we've been talking about now for almost 2 years. And how the NFL is going to handle it. I really thought that what we're experiencing now is what we were going to be experiencing at the end of 2020 when we started playing football again.
I think the difference was at the end of 2020, people in general. No, I think in general, people were still not going out as much and doing the things that they're doing now.
Their guard was still a lot more up. People's guards are much more down now.
Stadiums
I agree
were
with
full.
You.
There was not, the parties and the, just regular going out and going to restaurants and all that. It was still a lot more limited.
Yeah.
But right now, what we're facing right now is a week of playoffs with who knows what's going to happen this week. And the players are going to come out, and the players that are already on the COVID list, and can they get off? Like everybody's going to get Keenan Allen back this week, but you're going to lose. But you're going to lose Beckham, and you're losing pretty much everybody on Cleveland. And
how about the entire Miami Dolphins running back roster is so depleted? They brought back Lamar Miller. I mean, that's insane. That's how bad it is in Miami right now.
No, Miami has Juice Williams from Notre Dame, who looked electrifying in college at times, but never made it in the NFL. So who knows? You never know. But in all fairness to our buddy Mike, who we were giving a hard time to, his retort cannot be touched, which is 5 rings says, I know a little bit about what I'm doing. Fair enough. Fair enough.
All right. Don't be browning on the show.
Kenneth says, would it be wise to start Mitchell in place of Barkley? If Mitchell is cleared to go, the answer is yes.
Yes. Absolutely. I'd start Rashad Penny over Barkley right now.
I want to go there. I mean, you can, but quite frankly, I have Barkley and Mitchell very close to each other, and until we see that Mitchell's going to be 100% healthy, but I would still start him. Billy wants to know, hey guys, do you think Mitchell will have a good fantasy game at Tampa? And second question, just what do you do with Zeke at this point? The Zeke question. This is the variety of fantasy football. Let's start with the Taysom Hill one. That's actually a better question. Look, New Orleans is going to have to throw, right? Guys, I mean, do you see a reason why? I mean, I don't know what your alternative is. What would your alternative to Taysom Hill be?
Yeah, he has been solid. He really has been. Minus the 4 interceptions 2 weeks ago.
I have Taysom Hill as my number 10 So if you're in a 10-person league, and unless somebody has 2 quarterbacks, there should be somebody that you can start above them. If not, he's not bad. We don't know, for example, like if you have Lamar Jackson, whether he's going to start. If not, and you want to start Taysom Hill, to me, I'm all for that. I don't have a problem.
Well, what do you do in that instance? I had him. Commish, like, would you start? Like, look, you have Lamar Jackson, right?
Right.
And what are you going to do this week?
Well, I don't know. They play Sunday at 4. There are other quarterbacks that play also Sunday afternoon, like Jimmy Garoppolo, right? Okay. Undervalued, available in a lot of leagues. Justin Fields plays Monday night.
Yeah.
So there are people out there. Even Kirk Cousins might be available. Tannehill might be. There are people out there. So, yeah, I'm going to wait and see. And if Lamar Jackson is cleared and he can practice this week and he plays, I'm going to start him.
Okay.
But Taysom Hill, again, I have him as my number 10. I don't know who else you have, Billy, but
I got to tell you, Billy, I would honestly at this point play Hill over Dak Prescott, and I would play him. And by the way, I have him and Dak in the same league, and he has been outscoring
against the Giants.
Yes, against the Giants, because Taysom Hill this last week 73 rushes, 2 touchdowns. The week before that, 101 yards on the ground. That's right. Oh no, that's rushing. Let's go. Passing 175 in the week before with 100 yards on the ground, 264 in the air, and 2 touchdowns. By the way, against Dallas, Taysom Hill murdered Dak Prescott when it came to numbers last week. So yes, you want $1? Done. Hill versus Prescott. Let's do it. And I would take Hill over. And I would take Hill over Pat Mahomes this week.
Wow. Get out of here. Get out of here.
Right. So Billy,
I'm doubling
this bet. Let's do
it. So you also
but I'm getting 2 to 1.
Slow down. Billy also says he has Russell Wilson. Wilson has a good matchup this week. They play
LA.
Yeah.
No, it's not a good matchup.
Oh no, they play the Rams. Right.
Right. I actually play Taysom over Russell.
Yeah, I think we're all going to go with Taysom in this spot. I mean, Tampa has showed that they can be scored on, and they're going to have to be moving the ball because Tampa's going to score. So we're going with Hill here.
You tell him, Keith.
That's right, Billy.
You got to.
Well, I mean, if you look, just look at. Hold on a second, and this is my point. You look at names, and we're heading into the playoffs, so it's a big deal. Pat Mahomes last week 20 points, week before 12.5 points, week before 7.5 points. 2 out of 3 weeks, no touchdowns and 2 interceptions between them. Taysom Hill killing Pat Mahomes as far as production. Same thing. Prescott had a good week the week before. But 2 out of the last 3, because I have Dak in 2 leagues, I can tell you that Taysom Hill has been doing better. Last week, 9 points. Week before, 11 points. Taysom Hill doubled Dak Prescott's score. So put up your $1 because I can't wait to take it, Commish.
Oh, please. Plus, you owe me so much money. You would just
No. Actually, you owe me money. Eli Mitchell, Jalen Waddle, Devonta Smith.
Turn your mic down a little bit.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
All right, Billy, you're going to ride with Keith. We wish you all the luck in the world. Kenneth, should I be concerned regarding Nick Folk versus Indy Sunday? I do have Greg Joseph versus the Bears on Monday night.
Kickers.
Kicker question?
Nick Folk's number 1 in the league. I mean, he's just been solid. So, I mean.
Just pick a kicker and go.
Yeah.
Next. Sorry, Kenneth.
Yeah, boy, Koo really shit the bed this year, didn't he?
He did.
Oh, well. Okay, so if you all would like to get in on the action like Kenneth, like Mike, like Billy, give us a call, 772-800-BUZZ, or you can ask your fantasy question in the comments from YouTube Live or Facebook Live. We will answer them. In the meantime, we're going to go directly into our waivers of Week 15. We're going to be throwing them out quick, and we're going to give you our reply, let you know whether or not those are good waivers. You know what, Keith? We're going to start with you. Give us a waiver pick for this week.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard, I think, to ignore that probably the number 1 pickup in most people's waiver pool would be Rashad Penny. And again, it all depends on what you need, but it wasn't just because of his production this week. Carroll came out and said yesterday, or excuse me, it was today, that they really want to feature him and give him a shot to take lead back duties. But what he did, he absolutely positively shredded. Again, let's put it in perspective. It was Houston, but Penny's issue has never been his talent, guys. It's the health, but he looked phenomenal. 16 carries, $137, 2 scores. Didn't do much in the air, but that's what it was about. I love Rashad Penny going at the Rams. They're going to play ball control. To me, I think he's probably the number one pickup on the waiver wire, minus a couple interesting wide receivers. He's going to be the guy. Alex Collins looks dead in the feet, and they're talking about featuring a heavy dose of Rashad Penny.
I don't disagree with you. I've got 2 caveats, though, for anybody who's got Penny. You've got to understand he might be the number one waiver. He's not necessarily the number one running back. Keep in mind they do have a rough matchup this week against the Rams.
The Rams, yeah.
But if you're looking long-term for your next 2 weeks after that, they've got the Bears and the Lions. So he has a very good matchup, not this week, but the next 2 weeks after that. And then my only other concern, and it's not a major concern, but my only other concern is Adrian Peterson, who has been activated off the practice squad, might scavenge some of the goal line carries.
Well, Peterson had a touchdown in his first game in Seattle, and then got nothing this past week.
But again, I like when Carroll talks about wanting to feature Penny. I mean, that's the talk, that he really wants to feature him.
Well, I'm gonna
Peterson was hurt and he remained on the practice squad for this past week. So that's why
he went back on the practice squad.
Moving forward, he might scavenge a little. Again, I said these are caveats. I'm not saying don't pick him up, but I'm also saying that as a running back, he is definitely, in my opinion, a low end RB2. Or maybe even a flex at this point, because there's plenty of running backs that I would take before him or start before him. But as far as what's out there, no doubt he's probably the number one running back. What about you?
This is gonna be my bold prediction. He will be hurt by halftime.
Oh, stop. Oh, God.
What? I'm just telling you.
No, you're probably right. It's just, I just don't say it. It's terrible.
The fact that you made it through an entire game is like a miracle.
So, Brad, who's on your waiver wire?
I'm gonna jump to a wide receiver here and go with Gabriel Davis. Okay, he's been coming on the last 3-4 weeks. He's getting touchdowns. He's getting more targets, and now Emmanuel Sanders went out of the game hurt, which moves Davis up a slot there. Okay, so his target share will go up. They're going to need him. They have to throw the ball. Obviously, we know Buffalo has very little running game, although they had a little bit this past week. But they need to win games. They're going to need to be pushing the ball down the field. So Gabriel Davis, if you need a wide receiver, he's not going to blow up for you, but he's going to be a guy that might get you 12 to 15 points, to help you out.
All right. I don't disagree. I actually had Gabe Davis on my waiver list as well. With Emmanuel Sanders' injury, it's hard to say no.
Yeah.
But what's going to happen is you get mixed up in this Buffalo Bills wide receiver carousel. Remember Gabe Davis was the guy in preseason that everybody said you've got to draft this guy.
Yeah.
You can't let him sit on the waiver wire, and they had such high hopes for Davis, and then he did nothing.
Well, Emmanuel Sanders was having a really good start to the year.
But there's still a lot of mouths to feed there. You got Diggs, Beasley, and Knox. That's probably a little bit of a big table there for eating.
Hey, Kenneth.
Hey, I got a tight end waiver wire possible pickup for y'all.
Okay. Who do you have?
Take a look at a TJ Hawkinson.
There's no way in God's green earth that TJ Hawkinson is available.
Step up.
He is.
I want to be in your league, man, because if I can get Eli Mitchell, TJ Hawkinson, and Jalen Waddle off of the waiver wire, man.
Kenneth, is Jonathan Taylor available?
All right. We have some other questions here. Sorry, Kenneth.
6 of 51, 8.5 average, 11 points.
No, he's
versus the Bears. Big 12,
Put that question back up. There you go.
35, 11.7 average, 12.5 points.
Ooh.
Versus Minnesota.
Van Jefferson, Pittman.
12 and a, little under 12.5 average. Almost 15 points.
no, we get it. We get it, Kenneth. And yes, if Hawkinson is available by any stretch of the imagination, you must pick him up, and we agree with you.
Okay.
All right?
Good question here.
We're looking for a tight end waiver wire.
No, we appreciate it. We appreciate it.
Okay. So good question here in a half-point PPR. We're looking for a flex and some interesting options, Van Jefferson, Pittman, or Mooney. And I got to tell you, I like what I'm seeing with Van Jefferson. I know OBJ stepped up, but in Wood's presence opposite Cooper Kupp, it's been a healthy mix of Van Jefferson and OBJ. Pittman's just been inconsistent. Same to me. Mooney's nice, but I like Van Jefferson here against Seattle.
Yeah. So for this week, you got to keep an eye on OBJ, right? Because he's in protocol. So if he stays in protocol, Jefferson obviously moves up. Pittman has a tough matchup against New England, and Mooney came out the other night, got a catch. I think it was the first pass of the game,
and that was it.
And that was it.
Yeah.
Right. So you can't rely on Mooney. I'm going. At this point, I'm going with Van Jefferson out of these three.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to Van Jefferson also, but I don't like any of those three, to be honest with you. No. I'm just saying in a flex position, I don't know what else you have available. I don't know if there's a running back that's available. I would start Rashad Penny over all these guys. So, it depends on what else is available to you. But out of those three, I'll agree with everybody. But again, keep an eye that he doesn't end up getting COVID because he's been in the wide receiver room with OBJ. Right.
Yep.
And there's still a couple. There's still some waiver wire pickups. A couple that are 50%, one only 10% owned in ESPN links. That are I would start over all three of those as well. We're going to go over them. Some target monsters and some good plays out there. So we'll talk about that in about 20 seconds.
Do you think there's a chance that there's a game or even two that gets postponed this week with all the COVID stuff going on?
That's a possibility. I don't know if it'll happen, but we'll see. Look, we have a kicker question on the Fantasy Football Podcast. We actually have a kicker question. I love the kicker question. Would you pick up Zerline and drop Bass? No. I don't see why you would do that. I understand maybe weather with Bass, but no. I don't know if Zerline is your only option, but
Buffalo moves the ball a lot, so you want a team that's pretty offensive to get those field goals. Yeah,
right. So no, I wouldn't necessarily do that. That doesn't mean that on any given week Zerline can kick 3 50-yard field goals, but you got to go with
that could be any kicker any week.
Any kicker any week.
Correct.
Yep.
So there goes our one kicker question for the year.
Commish, I want to hear your waiver. Oh, we got more questions.
Nope, that was it.
No, that was the same one.
Who's your waiver? Oh, okay.
No, that was the same question. Okay, so my waiver, if I were to ask you guys in the past 2 weeks, if there was a wide receiver on the waivers that was fourth in the NFL on targets, who caught 18 catches for 159 yards in those 2 weeks, wouldn't you want him on your team, let alone start him?
Amon-Ra St. Brown. He is a stud. That's who I was going to tell that guy that just put up those three guys. Go for it, Commish. I love him. I'm all on board.
Amon-Ra St. Brown, if he's available, grab him. I would start him over some of those guys. Maybe not Van Jefferson, but it's somebody I would definitely consider. And one of the biggest issues, though, is the touchdown, right? Because he only has the one touchdown, and that's where you're going to get your points in fantasy. But other than this week, they played Pittsburgh. But other than that, although what we saw what Pittsburgh did against the Vikings, or what the Vikings did against Pittsburgh's pass defense with weak ass Minkah Fitzpatrick. But after that, Detroit has matchups against the Atlanta Falcons and the Seattle Seahawks. So if you're able to get past this week, you're going to be playing against two defenses that cannot stop the pass.
Right.
Loving Amon-Ra St. Brown. To me, he's a guy to pick up this week.
Absolutely.
Can I bring something up here? Okay, I'm going to go to defenses.
Of course
here.
you can, Brad.
Well, thank you. If you're looking for a defense this week, both of these defenses are 99% sure available in your leagues.
Can I guess what you're going to say?
I know you know what I'm going to say.
Dolphins?
No.
Go ahead.
No, Houston and Jacksonville.
And Jacksonville, yeah.
And they play each other.
If they play each other, yeah.
So do you pick up Houston? Do you pick up Jacksonville? What do you do?
With the way Trevor Lawrence is throwing interceptions, Houston actually seems a little appealing. So it depends on what you have. You know, it depends on what you have. It's become a defensive streaming, not league, but standard almost, unless you have a couple of the few elites. It's not a bad play. Interceptions and sacks are going to be aplenty in this game.
It would be hard for me to trust my playoff existence
on one of these
with the Texans or the Jaguars defense. Look, if you're going to pick up the Jaguars defense, at least you know for the next 2 weeks, because in the end, I think they play the Jets the week after. You know, so you have somebody for the week after as well. But man, that's really hitting rock bottom. I think there are other defenses out there that I would start or pick up and start before those guys. But you know, if you don't and you're desperate, you know, we'll see.
Is it a matter of desperate? Like I have, let's just say I have San Francisco in one of my leagues, and they play.
Yeah, San Francisco plays against an offense that scores. I don't remember who it is.
The Raiders, maybe?
No, that's the Chiefs.
No.
Oh, the Raiders. Right. Yeah, I don't have the schedule in front of me at the moment.
So the 49ers play against Atlanta, which actually is not a bad matchup because Atlanta has gone in and out of, you know, determine whether or not they want to score on any given week.
Right. But they can.
They can, but they're 29th in the league in scoring. And a lot of that has to do with, you know, before Patterson was doing well or when Patterson was hurt.
And Ridley's out.
Yeah, so if you're going to ask me between Houston and the Jaguars and 49ers, I'm going 49ers all day.
Oh, all day. Of course. But, you know, you could be in a situation. I mean, I'll be direct where I am at, and I've got the Ravens who they're not a phenomenal defense, but they've been serviceable. But this week, I believe their matchup is terrible. So I think it's Baltimore is going against Green Bay, who can light it up. So am I going to play Baltimore against Green Bay, or am I going to take a shot on Houston and hopefully Trevor Lawrence is going to throw his patented 2 or 3 picks? Honestly, in that situation, I think I'm going to grab. In
that situation, you got to.
And that's what I'm saying. You're right, Commish. You would never play these guys, but you got a bad matchup. It's something you might want to take a look at. Yeah, so there are a couple other interesting receivers are still out there that are really surprising. That again, if you're dealing with injuries, no more bye weeks, thank God. You're dealing with some COVID issues. A couple guys that I'm surprised are not owned as much as they should be. Devonta Parker only owned in 50% of leagues. Now, last week against the Giants, it wasn't a heavy passing game. He only had 5 looks and caught all 5. Excuse me, 2 weeks ago they were on bye. I apologize. But his last 2 games, and that's what I'm focusing on. Actually, his last several games, 11 targets, 9 targets, 7, 9, and 7. Nothing less than 7 targets. 11.2, 16.5, 17.7. The bottom line is yes, Waddle, no question, is the 1A. But Parker was out for such a long stretch. Even while Tua started to thrive, what we learned quickly is when he came back, Parker is a very nice 1B. And he's going to get looks, and they're playing the Jets. So I love Devonta Parker as someone to pick up if you need help as a flex or a wide receiver 3, and you miss on Amon-Ra St. Brown, or there's another very interesting wide receiver out there I'm sure one of you guys are going to cover.
All right, well, here's a question from Facebook user. Would you start Denver, who is playing against Cincinnati this week, or do you start the Browns, who has Vegas this week?
Right.
Just to give you a little background, the Broncos have been scoring in double digits for the past 3 weeks.
Defense, yeah.
And the past 6 weeks, they've actually scored double digits in 5 of those 6. So do you go with that high-powered defense, or do you, because they're playing against a high-powered offense, do you go with the Browns, who actually, they also have had 3 double-digit defensive scores the past 3 weeks, but before that, they played New England and did not look great. Personally, I like going against Vegas, but I don't know what you guys think.
Well, one of the issues with the Browns this week is that they have so many players on the COVID list right now,
right?
That it's going to be an issue being able to
keep the ball. Right, exactly.
So, yeah, I mean, you never want to really take a defense against the Raiders because they do move the ball. They do score points.
Who are the Browns besides Landry?
There's an offensive lineman. Offensive lineman. Obviously, Hunt's out, but that's not even COVID. That's not even COVID. They have like 7 or 8 players.
But without Landry, what do they have? They got DPJ and
right.
I think Schwartz is hurt. They don't want to throw the ball to. So this is a game you stack the box, you force them to run, and I think I agree they're going to have some trouble moving it. But the Broncos just look good, and it's so interesting. I want to verify the numbers. I actually think fantasy-wise, the Broncos started putting up more points after they traded Von Miller, and the Rams defense took a dive down once they got Von Miller, and it's certainly not Von Miller. He's a great player. It's just so interesting, such an incredible puzzle piece to a defense, and it affected both of them the wrong way or the right way.
Yeah.
All right. So if anybody has any other questions, I know we're getting a lot of them tonight, and that's great because this is a crucial playoff week. There's a lot of injuries. There's a lot of COVID people on the COVID list that aren't playing this week. We've got games Thursday. We've got games Saturday. We've got games Sunday. We've got games Monday.
Yeah.
You want to know who to start? We're giving you the hints. We're giving you the clues. We're giving you our best right now. Give us a call. 772-800-BUZZ or comment. YouTube Live, Facebook Live. We will break into whatever we're talking about. Get right to your question. You guys actually took 2 of my 3 waivers. Do you have anybody else?
I have another potential running back, and it goes back to the Browns here with Dearness Johnson because Hunt is out. The Landry possibly out. He's also, Dearness Johnson's going to maybe step into that Hunt role. So he's got the potential to, if you need to go deep, if you have other people if you have anybody in the Dolphins backfield, and all of a sudden you need a running back, this is the guy that's going to be out there that you can go get to fill in. He's going to get you some points. Obviously, you're not going to have a huge week from him, but he's going to get you some points. And sometimes that's what you need, especially in a week like this with all the COVID and everything else going on.
Mm-hmm. I'll tell you, there's a very interesting wide receiver still out there, owned in only 26.5% of leagues, and it's KJ Osborne. They're looking for fill-ins for Thielen. And over his last 2 weeks, not only has he scored touchdowns in each of the last 2 weeks, but he's had 16 targets in those 2 games. Last week, really good week. 9 targets, only 3 grabs. One of them was a bomb, though. Cousins, he likes to air it out, 83 yards and a touchdown. Chicago's a little hard to run on, so I could see this as a game where they're going to be throwing. But over the last 2 weeks, 19.3 and 14.7 points. He's getting the targets. If you're in need as a WR3 or a flex, you could do a little worse than KJ Osborne.
Yeah, I'm surprised that he wasn't picked up last week when we recommended to everybody that you grab him.
Yeah.
We have a few more questions here. Billy's back, so Keith, I guess he wants you to answer this. Would you take a flyer on Justin Jackson?
Is Eckler hurt?
Eckler did get hurt.
He is hurt.
He did get hurt. But is he is it looking that he's not trending towards playing?
We don't know.
Right now it sounds like 50-50.
Right.
Yeah. So with 50-50, it's something I would certainly go penny first. If you have fab money that you're looking, where am I going to blow it? Or if you have a waiver wire priority, I'm in on Rashad Penny. I do believe Pete Carroll, when he says he's going to feature him, that Penny should get double-digit carries, 15, 18, who knows. So him first, but with Justin Jackson, if Penny's not out there, you're not in on him. It's, the problem is it him? Is it Kelly?
It's a Thursday night game, though.
Right.
So you have to know by Thursday afternoon whether or not, and we'll know. You'll know by 6:30 p.m. whether or not Eckler's playing. And at that point, you have to make a decision, but have somebody ready to go. So the question I guess Billy is asking is, let's say at 6:30 p.m. on Thursday, they say Eckler's not playing, but Justin Jackson is available. You can pick him up right now to start him. Do you do that?
So Justin Jackson's the one who got the carries inside the 10-yard line. I think he had 8 or something like that, or inside the red zone, compared to Josh Kelly's 2. So in the last game, he was the guy that they were going to. Does that continue? You never know with backup running backs. Like if somebody gets hot, you stay with that guy. You don't know. But out of the 2 right now, Jackson on that team would be the one to go after from the recent history, than Josh Kelly.
I just don't trust it. Last year, I remember 1 week it was Kelly, the next week it was Jackson, and then it was Kalen Balazs. I mean, it was so weird, and it wasn't even with injuries. So the Chargers, other than Austin Eckler, when he's down, to me it's a mystery as to who they're going to go with. So if you have to,
I'd have to figure out, Billy, who else you're talking about. If you're talking about back to the Mooney question, or if it's one of those guys, then possibly yes. But if you're thinking about ditching somebody thinking that Jackson's going to get you Eckler type numbers, that's not going to happen.
Yeah,
correct.
Okay. What do we got? There's another question about concern about Josh Allen's injury. That's the problem, is that we don't know. Obviously, if we knew, we would tell you. If he does play, you've got to start him. I don't think there's a question about it. Whether it's Tua, I think you have to also ask yourself what else is out there on the waiver wire. Tua's going to be solid. He's going to get you some numbers. But remember that the whole floor ceiling thing, right? Tua has a high floor, but I think he's got a low ceiling. He's not going to throw for 300 yards and 4 touchdowns. There might be people out there, whether it's a Kirk Cousins, whether it's a Garoppolo, somebody like that, who has a higher ceiling but a lower floor. So,
but your question is, would you pick up Tua? Absolutely, because God forbid Allen doesn't go, especially heading into the playoffs. You at the very least want a low floor. Tua is usually good for 250, 2 scores, possibly a rushing score. Got to agree with Commish. Allen plays, you play him. But if Tua's out there, that's not horrific to go in. He's got a nice matchup against the Jets.
If you have the roster spots and you can get these backups or fillers onto your roster, definitely do it right now. Because the fact that Josh Allen was in a walking boot after the game, is always going to leave you wondering right up until game time, probably.
So with Zeke, you cannot play Justin Jackson over Zeke. That I would tell you. But I'm telling you, Commish, get your dollar out.
This is the guy who thinks Hill's going to do better than Prescott.
He will do better than Prescott. He has for the last 2 weeks. But I also think that Rashad Penny is going to do better than Zeke. So I would tell you, I wouldn't play Justin Jackson in a major timeshare, but where they're featuring someone and who actually looked very good running the ball, I would probably play Rashad Penny over Zeke. I think Pollard looks like he's coming back.
All right. You know how I feel. No need to
I am going with my $1.
Okay.
And I know Penny had a good week last week, but with the matchups this week, I'm putting up $1 on that one.
All right.
And I don't do that very much.
So it is written, so it is done.
All right. So
I'm not a Zeke fan this year. I wasn't.
No, I know you're
beginning
not.
Of the year, and
God, on Hard Knocks though, he looked so good. It was like
he had a good start to the season.
He was unbelievable. Now look, we knew looking at last season that at the end of the season or even halfway through the season, he started looking slow compared to Tony Pollard.
Right.
And there were questions about whether or not moving into this year, whether or not Tony Pollard should be the starting running back. And then in preseason, Zeke turned it on. right? And he looked great, and then the season started, he was all right, and then something happened
very
again.
good. He was all right. He was
he got
really
tired.
good.
But then you know something? Then we need to start really considering that Tony Pollard right now at this point in time looks like the better running back. Could that change? Possibly. Tony Pollard explodes through the hole, and Zeke does not look like this. Stop it. Does not look like the same. How many times did you say you're coming out where players are coming out? So yeah, I don't love Zeke right now until he shows us any different.
All right, so you like guys who explode through the hole. Okay, so we got it.
God.
That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that.
Jesus, really?
Okay. So we have no more questions. Oh wait, we did just as I said that. Billy says Pollard is injured though. Right. We understand that he might be able to come back this week. We don't know. If Pollard, what Keith was saying is that if Pollard does come back, he's going to take carries away from Zeke.
100%.
If Pollard is still hurt, then yes, Zeke is definitely going to have a better week
than
Penny.
At least 4 or 5 more yards.
So, do you guys have any other waivers? Because my list is done. I mean, we have wiped out our waiver wires. There's not much out there, and
there's really not. I mean, if you want to go really deep,
that was it.
If the Dolphin running backs cannot get help, off the COVID list, there's Malcolm Brown if he comes back, and I know that they're talking about that he might be able to play this week. So there's people like that, but
I have a question.
Go ahead.
All right, guys. Here's a scenario. Should people who are not in the playoffs?
This is a good question.
Prevent picking up free agents.
So this. Sorry. 2020. This was. I was listening to this. I had a long drive today, and this was brought up on another show.
Yeah.
And my first thought was, no, they should not be allowed to take those waivers after they're out of the playoffs. But it depending on your league, like our particular league, the last place person, there's a penalty, right? So they should still be allowed to do waivers.
Okay, but remove that because that's obvious. If there is no penalty for last place, let's take out the obvious.
Hold on, time out. Let's run with this thought for a second. Okay.
Well, I think
thought that there's a potential consolation prize or booby prize or the other way around, a negative for the last person or a small positive.
Well, then of course they should be able to because they're playing for something. Of course.
But they're not playing for what we signed up for, which
was the
champion of fantasy football. So my suggestion is a compromise. They cannot pick up waivers until after the people who are in the playoffs pick up waivers. So Tuesday night, you have your playoff waivers, and then starting Wednesday night, you have your loser waivers. That's my opinion.
Like it.
And I'm.
You know what? And I see the value. I see what you're saying. But the whole thing with waiver wires is you are always playing against the whole field, either 10 or 12 men. Why in the playoffs should you not be going against 10 or 12 men? The way you've balanced your fab money, all that stuff still plays the same way week 15 as it does week 4. So you shouldn't have an advantage at that point, especially when you're playing against other league members that are playing to possibly win consolation or not have to buy everyone pizza and wings. So I'm going to respectfully disagree with you. Now, I will say one thing. Where it does get interesting, to put this in perspective, if there is no consolation bowl or pig bowl, or if there is no pizza boy, you're playing for absolutely nothing. So you could be doing that just to mess or possibly collude. That's where I think you do have a point. That's why I think every league should have a pig bowl or a pizza boy, so things stay competitive and natural and organic all the way through to week 17 or 18. But I agree with you. If there's nothing happening, no, they should not be able to pick up and collude.
Yeah, we have a rule that you can't pick up anybody that was dropped after a week, and that way you're preventing the dump, right? You're not colluding with somebody that, hey, I'll just go ahead and drop this person. You have the most fab money, so you can
pick them up.
So that's a good alternative. Adele, Brito, sorry that I missed it. I made the playoffs in both of my leagues. Great job.
Nice. Love it.
That we had something to do with that. Maybe not.
Yeah.
Maybe, but either way, Mike says if your system can't do it, the league can't do it. At least that's ours. Some people don't mind modifying the rules, but yes, ESPN does not allow to have separate waivers for playoffs and losers.
Right.
If you're not in the playoffs, stop waiver adding. Thank you. I agree. And that's why this man is so smart. He made the playoffs in both of his leagues. So I agree with you. Dell the Barber. Remember we talked about Dell last week?
Oh, yeah. Oh, your buddy Dell.
Yeah, Dell. Good to hear from you. Glad you're joining us. I'm glad you made the playoffs in both of your leagues. But yeah, we talked about the shop last week, and Brad even brought up the idea of doing a live broadcast when he's down from the barber shop. So that is something to talk about.
We'll come in. We need to get somebody else's haircut besides 2020 and besides the commish, because that would only be like a 6-minute show.
6 minutes.
Well, I don't know. He does it
like 2 minutes.
He gets a straight razor out. He does the sides.
Nice.
He gets the hot towel. I mean, it's really good. But,
love it.
No, Del, we appreciate you listening today, and we agree. I'm sorry, I agree. If you don't make the playoffs, stop waiver adding. You're only causing confusion.
No, I think there's something to that, and if you do have a penalty for last place or whatever the case may be, I do like the idea of the people in the playoffs get the first round of pickups and the other people can pick up from what's left, or then it goes live to anybody. So I think that's a good idea. I mean, it probably hard to implement in a lot of leagues, but I do like the idea of people in that position not being able to take away from people that have made the playoffs.
All right,
you two are divas.
Let's summarize real quick. We talked about if these guys are out there, think about grabbing them. We've got Rashad Penny with the Seattle Seahawks, Gabriel Davis with the Buffalo Bills, Amon-Ra St. Brown. Who else, guys?
KJ Osborne,
Minnesota Vikings.
In Kenneth leagues, you got TJ Hawkinson.
Oh my God.
And hold on, and Tua is out there if you need a quarterback, just saying. But yeah.
All right. So it looks like everyone's set. Okay, but we're going to continue doing the show for the next few weeks. We'll have our final show at the end of the season, and that final show, we're going to have our annual Buzzy Awards, where we'll talk about the best players, the worst players, and we'll have a lot of fun. We'll dress up that evening, maybe have a little drink or two, but that'll be a fun night. So we hope you stay listening to the Buzz podcast. What does Dell say here? Then yes, if there's a penalty for last place, you should have to add and drop. Dell, you were doing so well.
Look at that.
Thank you, Dell.
So well.
There you go, Dell. I love it. See, I'm coming. I don't have hair. I'm coming to you for a haircut. That's what I'm talking about. Guy knows what he's talking about.
We can shine you
That's
up.
my boy right there.
A little buff or something.
A little polish, a little buff.
Yeah.
So, guys, by the way, Dell, I love it. Both of you, give me a bold prediction for this week.
For what? For whether or not there'll be more?
I don't care. Give me
whether there's a game.
Whatever. Give me a bold prediction. Any bold prediction.
Besides that, Rashard Penny will be out by halftime. Okay.
Is that your bold? Are you being serious?
No.
Is that your bold prediction?
No, but that is a prediction.
Okay, give me a bold prediction.
A bold prediction: the New Orleans Saints are going to beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Tom Brady will have a one-off game of the season, and it will be this week against New Orleans on Sunday night in front of a live national audience.
That is a bold prediction. I will give you that.
That is.
Oh, I'm playing against Brady, so I'm just hoping that comes true.
New Orleans
are you hoping? I love it.
Didn't New Orleans already beat Tampa this year?
They did.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's going to happen again.
Fantasy-wise, I think you will see Jamar Chase be the number one fantasy receiver this week.
Oh, God.
Again, I think you're hoping. I think that's kind of like, how I felt about Brady. I don't know if there's anything that supports the fact that Cooper Kupp is still in the league. and he's playing against Seattle. I don't think you're thinking about the fact that Devontae Adams is playing against Baltimore without their number one corner. I don't think you're thinking about Justin Jefferson playing against Chicago. I don't think you're thinking about Tyreek.
That's why it's a bold prediction.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough.
Right.
Yeah. All right.
I mean, I could easily say, "Oh, Cooper Cup's going to lead."
Stupid. You know, when does bold turn into ignorant? There's got to be a line.
Look, how did we feel about Jamar Chase in the preseason? That was pretty bold then.
Yeah, but now we know who he is.
Exactly. Right now, exactly.
And he's playing against Patrick Surtain. So, just saying. But, okay, it is bold. You're right. I give you that. It's a bold prediction. What about you, 2020? You have a bold prediction to close out the night?
I do. I don't know how bold it is, but just be quiet with Eli Mitchell. If he plays, he's been a very good pickup. Thank you. I don't love his matchup, but I do believe Rashad Penny has a chance of falling in as a top 15 running back this week, just based on what I saw, again, against Houston. But I like what Pete Carroll is saying about featuring him. And he looked really good, really good.
I'm going to say this about the Penny thing. Keith, you're in the playoffs in your leagues, and that's great. And so I'm not putting you down because you're part of this broadcast, and we love you, Keith. But you also have a tendency to fall in love with players from the week before.
You mean like Eli Mitchell?
Something
Eli Mitchell?
Something really well, you want to pick them up immediately. So that's fine. No, I mean, not like Eli Mitchell. There's a whole history of that, but it's okay. And so that's why it's a bold prediction. So
there's no history with that.
Okay. Yes, there is. And I'm okay with that. And I'm okay with your bold prediction. But let's talk about Dell because he's got scary Terry and Mooney. If Terry doesn't go, should he start Gabe Davis or Jamison Crowder? If those are your only choices, you know, Crowder against Miami. Miami, although they have a great defense, has been giving up a lot of yards to receivers, right?
But and that's all they really have there as well right now.
Right, which makes it even more difficult to want to start Jamison Crowder.
I'd probably go with Davis here.
Yeah.
If those are your only choices, I think there's a lot of other – hopefully there's other wide receivers you can pick up. But, yeah, I would agree that Gabe Davis. What about Ron St. Brown? Available, grab him.
Absolutely. Crowder without Elijah Moore or Corey Davis in the mix. It should have been his field, and Berrios massively outproduced Crowder, which was very surprising. So
what about let's talk about Mooney. I mean, we kind of just glossed over that. He had the one catch for 9 yards last week, like you said at the beginning of the game, and then he didn't do anything after that. But he is playing against a terrible pass defense in Minnesota. Is there hope here that Mooney might be the right guy? Now, unless he's saying he's already starting Mooney and he needs somebody to replace McLaren, then you go Gabe Davis and Jamison Crowder. Right. If that's the case, then Davis, unless you can pick out Amon-Ra St. Brown or somebody else.
Or Osborne or Parker, who are both should be getting a lot of targets.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah. All right, guys. Any other final thoughts here? I guess
I would just like to say good luck and definitely keep an eye minute to minute on what's going on because you're going to have to pick up people, drop people, as the COVID thing changes all week. So just be careful this week and keep an eye before, and again, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday games. So remember those Saturday games this week is very important.
And if in our main league, if both 2020 and I win our respective games, one of the three of us is going to be playing against one of the three of us. So it should get very interesting the weekend.
It'll get a lot of bragging rights to be had.
Right.
But I'll echo Commish and Cyclop. If you made it this far and you're in your playoffs, fantastic. We certainly hope we were a part of your success plan. Good luck. Make smart decisions. Don't get cute. And we'll see you on Sunday.
All right. Take care, everybody.
Peace.